Hi again. Today is Sunday, April 30th, so happy Sunday. I hope you are all well. I had not planned on coming back this month to do a video, but plans change. I had a long sleep this morning, so I'm going to make this brief as possible. I have a lot to do today, and I'm feeling guilty for sleeping in so late. So today's video, I will share one finish. I'll talk a little bit about my last video, and then I have some Stitch Mania plans. Michelle Rudy, this is your fault. One comment and you tempted me. But we'll get to that in a moment. First, I want to talk about my last video. Thank you all so very much for your kind comments. I completely blown away with all the kindness that you guys show me. I am trying to reply to all your comments. My initial plan as they started coming in was to try to keep up with them as they came in, but I've failed miserably at that. So then I had this plan that I would reply to 10 a day, and that would get me caught up. Not happening, but I will slowly get caught up. You guys have told me about your favorite stitched piece, and where I can, I'm going to look at that design. And you guys are amazing at some of the pieces that you choose to stitch. They are all beautiful, and thank you for sharing. If you haven't had an opportunity to watch my last video, I would encourage you to. There's something I feel like is well worth watching, and I hope you enjoyed that video as much as I enjoyed making it. So enough about that. I did have a finish last night, although I'm not sure that I'm completely finished with it. It is a Stitch Mania piece called Liberty Parade. Last year's Stitch Mania piece. And this calls for a lot of weeks dye works. And last year I wanted to try my hand at using the DMC alternative, and that called for a lot of blended needles, which I enjoyed doing. However, the last part that I stitched I'm not incredibly happy with, so I'm probably going to end up pulling it out. Here's my finish. As you can see in the grass area, it says Liberty, but it's difficult to read because of the conversion that I selected. So I may pull those letters out and do them in the actual weeks dye work color. So that's my last Stitch Mania finish from last year. I think it is 6 remaining from last year. And that brings me to my 7 pages of Stitch Mania plans. Yes, you heard me right, 7 pages. I had originally planned not to start anything new during Stitch Mania. I thought that my best option was to just pick up the pieces from last year's Stitch Mania and work on those. But I really wanted to start new things, and in my last video I mentioned, well, really what's the difference between having the pattern and the fabric and the fibers in your stash as separate things, or just having them as a start. And you know what? I'm going to stitch them eventually, so why not go ahead and start, even if it's just a couple of stitches per day. I'm certain, because my life is just a lot busier this May than it was last May, that I will not get as many Stitch Mania pieces during the month of May. But I'm gonna have starts. So let me show you what my plans are. And I've kind of divided them up into categories. There will be no set day that I work on anything apart from probably on the 13th. I will do something dark. I wanted to join Dark 13 with Emily and Michelle for quite a while. I just haven't gotten around to it. So maybe this month is my month to join that group and start stitching something dark on the 13th of the month. So with that being said, I am going to be stitching the Stacy Nash piece, and it's called Tombstone Angel Pin Keep and Strawberry. This has been in my stash for a few years, and I just keep passing it by, but I'm going to start it. I won't be showing you the fabrics, although I have my fabrics picked out, my fibers picked out. If I try to show you everything that goes with the piece, we'll be here all day. My next selection is from the 2016 Just Cross Stitch Halloween magazine, and I am going to stitch this one, Potions, Brews, and Spells. And I'm excited for this one. It has a lot of specialty stitches in it. This may be the fabric that I stitch it on. We will see. Okay, and then my next selection is one that I've had in my stash for a long time as well. And it's called Kindred Spirits by the Primitive Needle. Let's see if you can. And my final one in this semi-fall Halloween category is from the Prairie Schooler, A Prairie Year, and I am going to be stitching this little turkey down here. Okay, and let me just, sorry, I am going to try to put these away a little bit, otherwise I'll have a huge mess. I had planned to make project bags for all my starts this year. Hasn't happened yet. Okay, my next set is kind of a Christmas theme, and this one is called In Santa Claus Land. It's a Brenda Gervais piece. I've had this one for a little while too. Can't wait to stitch him. And then this one, I thought about stitching this one last year for Stitch Mania, and I just passed it by, but then I saw a couple of people had stitched it, and it's so cute. Santa's Workshop. And this one comes from the Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher 2015 Christmas edition. If you recall, I stitched this one in Stitch Mania from the same edition last year. So that is it for my Christmas choices. My next category is kind of stitch related. So we have Cross Stitch Nation from Heartstring Stamplery. You all have seen this one. I'm anxious to put some stitches in on that. I also have Thread Keeper by Little House Needleworks. So I have a mix of small to large projects. So maybe I will get a few finishes. My next one comes from Pineberry Lane. It was a free one. I showed this in a previous video. It is called Petite Stitches. and I like those. I like all of them, so I may try to put a start in on each one of the 3. Again, that's Pineberry Lane, and that is a free chart on her website. Then I have Needle and Thread, also by Brenda Gervais. I think actually picked out maybe 3 or 4 from Brenda Gervais this year. I've always liked her designs, but for some reason this year I just decided to go with those. And I think that is it for that category. Sorry. Then my next category is kind of like an Americana theme. Can't get by Stitch Mania without that. Plum Street Samplers, Betsy's Tart. I picked that up recently. And this was a gift, Patriotic Pomp by Julie Stevens. And this was a gift from a Facebook friend. Cannot wait to start that one. And the final one in this category is another one from a magazine, the Summer 2016 Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher. And this one is by the Humble Stitcher, and it's called Sweet Land of Liberty. I really like this piece. I love the red, which is one of my favorite colors. Okay, my next category, can't live without the bees, so we're going to be doing Bee Study by Kathy Barrick. I did have to order, well, I didn't have to. Of course, I felt like I had to. The NPI silks for this. I was going to do the DMC conversions, but I thought this deserved the NPI silks. So I'm anxious to start on that. Then you saw this in one of my recent purchases a couple of months ago. Or maybe this was this a new release? I can't remember. Erica Michaels, Honeyberry. And this one is stitched on 40 count gauze, silk gauze. Excited to do that one as well. I love Erica Michael designs. And then another Brenda Gervais design, the Potting Shed. Thought that was a cute little piece. Okay, and this one has been in my stash for a long, long time. I am a huge Charles Wysocki fan, and I have several of his cross-stitch patterns. I have never stitched one. My ex-husband stitched several, and I got to enjoy those hanging in our home for many years. But I've never stitched one, and I'm anxious and excited to start this. It's called Pepper Cricket Farm. And years ago, Dimensions would put out patterns without the kit, and so I picked this one up. I don't think I will be doing the words around it. I will just be doing the design in the middle. Looking forward to that one. Who am I kidding? I'm looking forward to all of them. Okay, and this one has been in my collection for many years as well. And it is, again, by the Primitive Needle, and it's called A and E, for Adam and Eve. I will also be stitching this with the cloth forward fibers, which are the NPI silks. And, okay, birds. I have a bird category. A tisket, a tasket, also by Brenda Gervais, and it's made into like a little pin cushion. And the one that I'm really, really super excited to start, Vintage Birds by Jeanette Douglas. Isn't that just beautiful? My next one is a little House Needleworks, Bless Our Home. This was a gift from my friend Rebecca, Hedgerow Stitching. And I love that blue house. I lived in a blue house when I was growing up. So it reminds me of home. And on this one, I'm going to try Vanna's, what does she call it? Baste and bake technique on the even weave and see how that goes. I'm excited to try it, Vanna. And if you guys don't know, that's Vanna Pfeiffer. She has it posted on her blog, The Twisted Stitcher. And I'm going to give it a try. Okay, my next one is also a gift from Rebecca, also a Jeanette Douglas, called Pattern Pretties. This is going to be a new stitch for me, and I'm anxious to try it. The fibers are these beautiful variegated silks, and I may become addicted because it's just, the outcome is just beautiful. I guess I had it upside down, but it doesn't matter. The pattern is the same. Okay, my next one is also a Pineberry Lane piece called Fancy Blanket, the Harvest Dance. I guess that could have gone into my Halloween and fall category. I just love Fancy Blanket. If I were a witch, that's who I'd want to be. So cute. Okay, and then my last new start, another one that I'm totally excited to start. I showed this in my, I think, was it my last video? It is from the spring 2017 Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher. And it is called Sarah Ann Cotty Sampler by Willow Hill Samplings. And there you go. Isn't that gorgeous? So that is my last new start. I will give you, we're having an avalanche over here on this side. I have my box of Stitch Mania pieces from last year that are not complete. And my first one is called Love and Joy. It is by, who is it by? Oh, it's a Plum Street Sampler one. And it's this one right here. What really drew me to this was this little rooster up here. And this is all the further I got on that during Stitch Mania. I think it was toward the end of Stitch Mania that I started this one. So I'm anxious to get back to that one. It's a cute little piece. My next one, I mean, and some of these, there's absolutely no reason why these should not have been completed before now. But this one is another free one from Plum Street Samplers. And I apologize for the wrinkly mess. They've kind of been stuck away. It's called Coffin Buzz. And if you remember, this is the piece that I used, I dyed with coffee. And I put the coffee rings on it with the walnut stain and the Tim Holtz ink. So I'm anxious, and the coffee spills. Did I do a tutorial on that? I think I did. If you check back last April maybe, or May, or June, I'm not really sure. Okay. The next one from Stitch Mania last year was called the Needle's Eye, and it's these two little friends down here in the corner. And I'm so embarrassed of my lack of progress on this because this could be a quick stitch. That's all I had accomplished on that. And my next one is from the 2015 Just Cross Stitch Halloween, and it's called Witch Silhouette Duo. These little ladies, they have the oval frames that I'm going to put them in. My hold up on this piece, two things. I'm doing it 1/1 on what looks like maybe 32 count. And I'm using DMC rayon. Not my favorite. Not my favorite. That is all I've accomplished on that one. Okay, this is a 36 count. And I'm doing it 1/1 with DMC rayon. But as horrible as DMC rayon is to stitch, I like the effect that it gives. It's very shiny, and I know in the end it will be worth it. Excuse me. So this is not my final piece. My final magazine piece from last year is from the Primitive Hare, called I Believe in Santa. This one in the corner. Let me see if I'll give you a better photo of it. Down here, I'm also stitching this 1/1. And that is my progress. This is another piece of my coffee stained fabric. This is an Aida or an even weave. Let me look. This is an even weave, and it takes coffee very nicely. So hopefully I will get that one finished, maybe even FFO'd to put on my tree this year. Okay, so my final piece that I'm going to work into Mania is called Flowers for Sarah. It's Blackbird Designs. Comes from this book called Thank You, Sarah Tobias. Yep. I want to stitch that piece too. But the piece I'm stitching is called Flowers for Sarah. It's the needle roll, pocket roll, whatever. And I haven't picked this up since Mania. Which makes me sad because it's a beautiful piece. There's my start on that. And I'm using the call for, I think it's Classic Colorworks. So, if you were counting, that's 31 combination of new starts and last year's Mania pieces. I think there were two, let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 or 6 from Stitch Mania, and the remaining ones I don't know. The remaining ones are new starts. Anyway, I'm not sure which one I will start tomorrow. So many lovely pieces to choose from. I feel like I'm sitting in like a nest of lovely things. But that's it for today. Like I said, I had a late start to my day. It was wonderful to sleep in, but I have to prepare for the week. I have laundry going. I'm hoping the rain will hold off so I can grill out later. We've had a crazy amount of rain over the last 48 hours. And I know a lot of places in Missouri have had flooding, so I will keep them in my thoughts. Stay safe out there and stitch all the things. All right, until next time. I've lost my little clicker here. my little clicker got buried under the pile of things. I'm excited to see all of your starts for Mania if you participate. Thank you again, Garrett and Katie, for putting this together. It's mayhem, but it's wonderful. Okay, on that note, I'm going to go now and get stuff done so that I can stitch without guilt, and I will catch you next time. Bye for now.